Breaking news: Russian oil tanker nears Cuba. Tensions spike. The world woke up to urgent headlines. Russian oil tanker nears Cuba. Trump warns of consequences. Television tickers flashed. Social media erupted with hashtags like Cuba Crisis and Oil Showdown. The drama unfolded in real time, capturing the attention of millions from Washington to Moscow, from Havana to London. Everyone waited to see what would happen next. News helicopters circled above Florida's coast. Reporters stood by the Miami shoreline, scanning the horizon for any sign of the tanker. The United States Navy tracked the vessel's route, sharing updates with officials and the press. Cuban families gathered around radios, anxious about what this journey might mean for their future. The scene was, honestly, electric. Every update brought new fears and new hopes. Would the ship make it? Would the United States step in? Would this single tanker ignite a larger conflict or open a new chapter in global politics? The world seemed to hold its breath. The drama was more than oil and ocean. It was about power, survival, and the fate of a small island caught between giants. The Russian oil tanker, named Petromir, left the icy ports of Novorossiysk days earlier, packed with 100,000 tons of crude oil. Its hull gleamed in the sunlight as it cut through the Black Sea, then the Mediterranean, and out into the Atlantic. Its mission was clear: reach Cuba, deliver the fuel, and bring hope to a country in crisis. As the Petromir sailed, satellites tracked its every move. United States and NATO surveillance planes orbited overhead. Ships from other countries kept a cautious distance. On board, the crew followed strict orders. They knew their cargo was precious and dangerous. The ship became a symbol. For Russia, it was a statement of strength and solidarity with Cuba. For the United States, it was a test of resolve and a reminder of Cold War tensions. For Cuba, it was a lifeline. Each mile brought new pressure as governments, journalists, and ordinary people watched with mounting curiosity and fear. By the time the tanker neared the Caribbean, the world's eyes were fixed on its journey. The smallest change in course could bring calm or chaos. Former President Donald Trump broke his silence with a sharp warning. "The United States will not tolerate Russian interference in our hemisphere," he said from his Florida estate. His message was clear: if the Russian tanker delivers its cargo, there will be consequences. The words echoed across newsrooms and government offices worldwide. Trump's warning reignited old fears. Memories of the Cuban Missile Crisis flashed in the minds of policymakers. Some worried about a return to Cold War brinkmanship. Others saw Trump's statement as a political move, hoping to pressure the current administration into action. In Washington, officials scrambled to respond. Should the United States block the tanker? Would sanctions be enough? Could they risk a direct confrontation with Russia? Allies in Europe and Latin America weighed in, urging caution or support, depending on their interests. The warning set off alarms not just in Cuba and Russia but around the world. It raised the stakes for the Petromir and for the future of international relations in the Americas. Cuba's energy crisis is nothing new. Decades ago, the island relied on the Soviet Union for oil. When the USSR collapsed, Cuba was plunged into darkness, literally. Power outages became common. People biked to work because there was no gasoline. Help came from Venezuela, which sent oil in exchange for doctors and teachers. But Venezuela's troubles grew. Its oil exports fell. Cuba turned to new partners, Russia, Iran, and even China, for help. Yet every shipment comes with strings attached. The price of oil has soared. Political alliances are fragile. Every new crisis forces Cuba to scramble for another lifeline. Without foreign oil, Cuba's economy grinds to a halt. Buses disappear from the roads. Factories close. Hospitals struggle to keep the lights on. The arrival of the Russian tanker means more than just fuel. It's a chance to keep the country running for a little longer. That's why the world is watching. For Cuba, every drop of foreign oil is a matter of survival. For its partners, it's a way to show loyalty or to gain influence. U.S. sanctions against Cuba began decades ago, after the revolution. Over time, they have tightened. Ships carrying oil to Cuba risk being banned from American ports. Companies that help Cuba find themselves cut off from the U.S. banking system. These penalties make it hard for Cuba and its friends to do business. Sanctions hit harder after Venezuela's collapse. The U.S. targeted shipping companies, insurance firms, and even the crews of tankers. This maximum pressure strategy is meant to force change in Cuba's government, but it also affects ordinary Cubans, causing shortages and inflation. Countries like Russia see the sanctions as unfair. They accuse the U.S. of trying to starve a neighbor into submission. Russia's delivery of oil is both a humanitarian gesture and a political challenge. It's a way to defy American power, while helping an old ally. As the Petromir approached, everyone wondered, would the US enforce its rules? Would other countries dare to follow Russia's example? The Petromir's journey was dangerous from the start. US warships patrolled the Caribbean, surveillance planes circled overhead. Some feared the tanker could be intercepted, searched, or even turned back. Any misstep might trigger a clash between superpowers. And the risks were not only military. Pirates and smugglers roamed these waters, looking for opportunities amid chaos. The crew had to be on guard 24/7. Insurance for the voyage was nearly impossible to secure. No major company wanted to risk angering Washington. The ship also faced technical dangers. Rough seas, engine trouble, and the threat of sabotage were constant concerns. Cuba's ports, weakened by years of neglect, could struggle to handle the huge shipment. Even a small accident could cause an environmental disaster. As the tanker drew nearer, every hour brought new challenges. Success would mean relief for Cuba, but failure could mean disaster for all involved. For most Cubans, the oil crisis is felt on the streets, in their homes and at work. Bus stops are crowded with people waiting hours for transport that rarely arrives. Blackouts sweep across neighborhoods, leaving families in the dark. Hospitals ration electricity and food spoils in powerless refrigerators. Taxi drivers line up for days outside gas stations, hoping to buy enough fuel for a week's work. Farmers can't run their tractors or deliver crops. Students walk miles to class. Even the island's famous old cars sit idle, gathering dust under the hot sun. The shortages go beyond inconvenience. They threaten health and safety. Ambulances are sometimes grounded. Firefighters run out of fuel during emergencies. The crisis deepens every week, pressing people to find creative ways to survive. For ordinary Cubans, the arrival of the Russian tanker promises a brief escape from hardship. But everyone knows it's only a temporary fix, unless something changes. From Washington, a stern voice. The United States will not sit idly by as adversaries defy international order, said a senior administration official. The message was meant for Moscow, but also for Havana. In Cuba, President Miguel Díaz-Canel responded defiantly. "We will not be intimidated. Our people have endured, and we will continue to stand with our friends," he declared on national television. His speech was met with cheers and a sense of relief. Moscow's response was equally bold. "Russia stands with Cuba against economic aggression," said Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. "This tanker is a symbol of our friendship and our commitment to sovereignty in the Americas." These statements show how each side frames the crisis: the US as a defender of order, Cuba as a survivor, Russia as a rescuer. The truth, as always, is more complicated. As the Petromir neared Havana, the world faced a crossroads. If the tanker arrived safely, Cuba could breathe easier, for now. But if it was blocked, tensions could explode. Either way, the drama was far from over. For Cuba, the oil would mean lights on, buses moving, and hospitals running. For Russia, a diplomatic win. For the US, a dilemma: enforce the rules or risk conflict. The outcome would shape not only Cuba's fate, but the future of diplomacy in the region. Beyond politics, the crisis revealed the pain of ordinary people. Every decision made in Washington, Moscow, or Havana echoes in Cuban homes and streets. The world can choose to escalate the crisis, or to find a path to understanding and relief. In the end, the journey of one tanker became a test for the world. The choices made now will decide whether Cuba's future is one of hope or hardship.